Welcome to the Writer's Life, place where you get the sight, sound, smells, taste of my particular writer's life, where you get the truth about the writer's life, coming to you from Italy in my studio slash bedroom. Nice place. Staying in San Frediano, in case I've mentioned that before, but this is where you want to be if like you're a writer, artist kind of thing. Very few tourists on this side. Mostly just very old buildings and people doing their thing, and a lot of vintage shops, and antique shops, and a lot of eateries and wineries and stuff like that. All good stuff. And just a few feet away from me is basically the countryside, the woods and hiking trails and stuff like that, and roads that lead to that go up hills, and that provide magnificent views. I have some pictures I'm gonna post one of these days. Anyway, it's a good place to be. It's the best place to be. You know, it's hard to find an apartment here. It really is. It's I couldn't find one this past spring, so I had to stay in town, which gets old because you know, one tour bus after the other and stuff like that. You just want to hide out in your apartment, you know. That's no good. So anyway, this is the place to be. If I were to live here full time, it would be right here, or maybe Luca or something like that. Anyway, I just wanted to comment real quickly on I've been working on the rewrite for Alive and Arrival for Gutter Books' new imprint, Vigilante Crime and Pulp. Small press, so. But something surprising happened. The owner hit me up with a development letter, which I haven't had in a long time. And I was like, kind of like, oh my God, I'm being challenged, you know, in a good way. This is all good, by the way. You know, this is a really good thing. But out of the past 10, 12 years, what year is it? 10 to 13 years. I've done like 18, 23. I've done like almost 30 novels traditionally. Beginning with Thomas and Mercer, I did like 9 books with them out of 3 or 4 contracts. Sold hundreds of thousands of books with them, and made a lot of money with them until the end, when I did work. They normally, out of all the books I worked with them, the dev edits were very light, and the copy edits were good and accurate. It wasn't until the final book that I had a serious dev edit, When Shadows Come, and I didn't choose that title. They chose it for me, and I think it sucks. But I'm going to get the rights back to that book pretty soon. I'm going to revamp it completely. It's going to be a new book. But the person who did the dev edit on that was terrible, and they just ruined the book. And I was still, even 12 years ago, 13 years ago, I was still at that stage. Well, no, by now it was like 8 years ago. Okay, because it was my final book with them. I was with them like 4 or 5 years. Even at that stage, I was still like, okay, if they send me a dev letter, I'll do what they say, you know, whatever. But then on top of a bad dev edit, my acquiring editor left the company. She quit. Thomas & Mercer has a huge revolving door, huge. Like I said, I did 9 books with them. You know, one was like a 5-book deal, another was like 1 book. Then I did 1-book deals with them from that point on. But like with every deal, I had a new editor. Like that's how revolving doors it was. It was crazy. I don't know what it's like now. I don't even know if they still sell as many books as they used to. They used to be great for selling books, but you weren't in bookstores because it was Amazon. You were just strictly Amazon, and that was it. And in fact, here I go off on a tangent. In fact, if you went to a bookstore, especially an independent bookstore, and you said, hey, you know, maybe I'll do a signing, you know, and they know who you are, they just gave you a dirty look like, fuck you. But I was, so, you know. Oops, connection, lost recording. Why do you keep saying that? I bet you I haven't. I'm going to keep going. It was such a disaster that I was like, I'm never doing working with a dev edit again. Okay. And then I did deals with Polish books, I did deals with Ocean View, and neither really were big on the dev edits anyway. So that was cool. Polish didn't even do copy edits. They expected you to hand in a perfect manuscript, which I didn't really know at the time. And one of my books was like full of mistakes, and that caused some friction and stuff like that. But anyway, learning experience. Ocean View was light on the dev edit and pretty good with the copy edit. I ended up having an argument with them, and that ended badly. I don't know. You see where, anyway, you see why I went almost fully independent for a while. And then I was doing a bunch of books with all the Moonlights with Down and Out, who was just went bankrupt, or they closed their doors a couple months ago. And there was no dev edits with them at all. And only 2 of my books, I think, got copy edits. And I was surprised to get those. So where's that leave me? That left me with like my Bear Media imprint, and I was just writing a book and editing it as I went along. Some people like Harvey Stambro calls that cycling, which makes sense. You write like 500 words and cycle back through it, edit it as you go. And then at the end, you're done. You know, your book's been, you know, you've done your own dev edit more or less. And the first draft is your best draft. You know, get a dev edit, or rather get a copy edit after that and go to print. And when you start getting a rhythm going, you can put out a book a month. I think Harvey puts out a book every 2 weeks. Correct me if I'm wrong, Harvey. So I was really enjoying that for like 5-6 years. And then like, I was like, you know what? I want to start getting back out there again, like getting my name back out in some traditional places. So I started doing anthology, you know, being accepted in anthologies and things like this. And I got a new agent, all that sort of stuff. And while she was shopping Alive on Arrival, I started talking to Matthew Lewis at Gutter Books. And he's like, look, I got this new imprint, which I knew about. And he's like, I'd love to have one of your books, man. Very non-woke, you know, just real, you know, real old time pulp and noir kind of stuff. And I was like, yeah, I'm willing to give it a shot. Sure. So I handed Alive on Arrival to them. My agent was like, yeah, if this is what you want to do, that's cool. I'll handle the subsidiary rights. Great. And he sends me the developmental letter, and I thought like, wow, I don't know if I can make the book any better than it is. But his letter was so good, and he was right. He had some really good points, and so for 4 days I've been working on it, and the book's going to be better. Didn't think it could happen, but it is. So in the end, and you'll see by the essay below, a hastily written essay below, that now I'm kind of open to development. I'm just going to call it dev edits again. I'm kind of open to it. I'm not going to be so quick to just like, okay, off the typewriter and out to print. You know what I mean? Not always, anyway. Sometimes it will be, but I'm going to be. I've been lately, past 5 years, 80% since COVID started, 80% independent and 20% traditional. But I'm going to start as the year progresses. By summertime, I'll probably be 50-50 again. Does that make sense? Probably 50-50. We're going to be really working hard on foreign rights and some multimedia rights. So a lot's going to change because it has to, because I'm no longer freelancing. I retired from that bullshit. Just strictly fiction. It's been like 90% fiction for like 15 years. and I've been doing this full time for 26 years. So, but I'm at an age where I just want to write fiction. That's it. And right now I'm in Italy for 2 months doing exactly that. Everybody's dream, right? Everybody's dream. Isn't this what you wish for when you go to the office every day and sit in that cubicle and just wish you die an early death? I shouldn't be busting balls like that, should I? No, I should not. I hope the sound is okay with this because I don't have my microphone. And anyway, in any case, that's it. All right, that's all I got to say. I'm going on here too long, and I hope everybody's doing well. And I have a few guests coming up. I'm going to have Troy. I got to get Stacy back on, and I think Jennifer Wilkov is coming on too pretty soon. She sent me an email, and I forgot all about answering it. I have to do that. I got to get Big Philly back on, maybe Harvey one of these times, and we'll see. What else? Okay. Anyway, ciao, ciao.